All right. So now that we're back recording, a common misconception when it comes to InfoSight is that it's a reporting or a management portal. And that's not really what InfoSight is. There is a piece of the InfoSight platform itself that does contain a portal. But really, when we're talking about InfoSight, it is it's something much more significant than that. InfoSight's made up of several different components, but the InfoSight platform itself is really based upon an AI machine learning platform over the top of a telemetry lake that collects infrastructure telemetry. And the data that goes into this lake is collected from a lot of different places. And I mean that geographically. See how fast I can draw the world here. Okay, so in the case of, every Nimble storage array that's installed around the world, and there are thousands of them, right? Tens of thousands even. They're all natively plugged into this data lake, and all of their telemetry information is being sent, and it's being stored in this data lake. Now, it's not your data, right? It's telemetry data about what your infrastructure is doing. And every line of code inside of a Nimble storage array, right? I mean, if we look at a Nimble storage array, and we got our A and our B, and the OS is running in there, and as part of that OS, right, is this little plugin that goes to InfoSight. And every line of code, every interaction of firmware with hardware, that telemetry is then logged, and that information is then put back into this data lake. So there's a lot of depth when it comes to the Nimble storage platform and what's being stored there. Now, that's all fine and dandy, but that doesn't really gain any benefit at all without this piece on top to do the analysis of that and to dig into this information and do something with it that's actually helpful. Now, initially, when Nimble Storage started developing this InfoSight idea, and this was from day one, there was no such thing as a platform. The whole reason that they did it was for this guy, the support engineer. The concept was that back in 2010, when the first Nimble storage array came out, was that cloud should and flash technologies should allow us to make a better customer experience and to create a support experience that isn't the cruddy support experience that we've been used to for years and years before, right? I mean, in the past, right, as you as the customer, when something fails, actually, we got to put a frowny face on here, right? If something fails in my Nimble storage array, right, that's bad, and now he's sad. And so what do? You pick up the phone and you call the support engineer, and he's happy to talk to you, but he's just a tier 1 engineer. What's he doing? He's reading his script, right? And he's walking you through all the flaming hoops that you need to go through in order to support that system. And then he says, what? Send me some logs, right? So you pull down your logs and you send those off to support. And he says, I'm going to analyze your logs and call you back. Does he call you back? No, he doesn't call you back, does he? Because he's just a tier 1 guy. So what ends up happening? You call back, and now, if you're smart, now you escalate. And now you're talking to him. And now he talks you through this same script again, but it's a little bit faster because you've already done it. And then he says, what? Send me some logs. Right? Have we done this? Yeah, Eric, it sounds familiar, right? I mean, the truth is, being a good systems engineer or system administrator, one of the key pieces of being proficient at that job is being able to navigate this process, because this is part of enterprise support historically speaking. And so you call him, you give him some more logs. He says he's going to call you back. Does he call you back? No, he doesn't call you back. Maybe he would, but it's like, you've got something broken. You don't have time to wait for this. So what do? You call back, you get the tier 2 guy again, and you ask to escalate. Now you're up to tier 3. Now you're actually after somebody who understands how the system works. And he says, well, what do I need? I need logs. So you send him logs again. Literally, I've been through this process so many times. He does that, and he says he's going to call you back. He usually doesn't call you back, so you call him back, but at least this time you've been fully escalated. You use your case number, right? So now you can get up to tier 3 support, and you can talk to him. He now has had the logs for 24 hours. So by the way, how many days are we into this? We're now 4 days into this process, and we still have something broken in our system. But now we've got the right guy. We work with him for a couple hours, and hopefully we get this fixed, right? We get the right patch. He tells us what command to put in. We get the right parts replacement. And it could be something simple. Maybe the tier 2 guy identified a failed part and he RMA'd it with you. But you were still 48 hours into the process at that point in time. And this is just how it works, right? But the concept here is that it doesn't need to work like that, because all of the stuff that happened in that tier 1 and tier 2 stuff, that's all, all they're doing is following a script. All they're doing is checking boxes. What about this? What about this? Did you try this? Have you tried that? All that stuff. It's all built into a script. So what if we simply were always pulling the logs and we always knew what was going on, and we were using AI to automate all of that ticky-tacky stuff that tier 1 and tier 2 does? Well, there's no what if. That's exactly what Nimble did. And they started doing that on day 1. There was no portal. There was no reporting. There were no charts and graphs. 100% this was, how do we automate tier 1 and tier 2 so they go away and we only can have tier 3? Now what have we done? We've cut down on our cost as Nimble HPE of what we're paying for support. And now we can spend our money on people that really know what they're doing, and we can automate all those other problems. So you misconfigure something, the AI picks up on it, automatically creates a case and sends it to you. A drive is wearing out, it sees that, automatically creates a case and sends it to you with a KB article on what to do. You've got orphan snapshots. It recognizes, oh, you've got 500 orphan snapshots because of a change that was made on the system. Here's the KB article. The AI does that. It doesn't take a person to do any of that stuff. And that means that when you actually get to the really hard stuff, performance tuning, some kind of weird compatibility with a Linux appliance that you're running, that kind of stuff that requires human intervention and some additional in-depth thought, now you can call, and who's the first person you talk to within 1 minute? This guy, a tier 3 support engineer. And do you have to send him logs? No, because he's got all of this. And on top of that, right? Now we've ported all this out to this really cool portal with all these great tools. And that's what these guys use so that they can support you better. So this was initially what InfoSight is all about, was this entire process. Now, what ended up happening, did I lose my mouse? What ended up happening, though, on top of that, is over time, the data scientists at Nimble Storage and now at HPE, they did create a portal. And that portal's got all these cool charts and graphs for capacity optimization and workload analytics. And not only are we pulling from this Nimble storage array anymore, now in that pool, right, we're going up the stack. So now we can pull information about your hypervisor, about your hosts, about your networking, all can be correlated, and you can go into the portal and you can see telemetry and reporting and in-depth analysis of all of that stuff. So tomorrow, the first thing we'll do is we'll go in and demo what some of that stuff is. But this is what you're getting out of InfoSight. Yeah, there are some charts and graphs, that's true. But what you're really getting is an elevated support experience with no layer 1, layer 2 support, only tier 3. Somebody that answers the call in 1 minute. Why? Because they're solving problems very, very quickly, because they're experienced, not just in storage, but in other stuff as well. In fact, more than half of support calls that come into Nimble support and are solved by Nimble support are not storage issues at all. They help with hypervisor issues. They help with host connectivity issues. They're consultative, not just break fix. I guess that's the best way to put it, right? Because they have access to all of these tools that are pulling on all of this great information here, right? And so the deeper this pool gets, the longer Nimble exists, the more customers that we have, the smarter the AI gets, the better the tools get, the better your support gets. Now, this is actually the primary reason HPE bought Nimble Storage. The arrays are awesome. I love them. I was a customer. I'm sold. I drink the Kool-Aid. But the real reason is now, rather than just Nimble Storage, this data pool is now pulling server information, 3PAR information, Primera information, SimpliVity information, Store Once information. All of these other platforms that HPE has are now collecting their telemetry in InfoSight. And this AI and machine learning platform is getting smarter and smarter to support those platforms as well. And that new announcement that we've made with the new platform integrates this even further. So that's the roadmap, that's the vision, and that's what InfoSight really buys you. I know this sounds kind of like a sales pitch, but as an administrator, this is what you need to understand, that you have a tool in your tool belt here that you can leverage. You have consultative support of tier 3 storage SEs that will help you with more than just storage if they need to, and that have amazing tools and can help you. Plus, tomorrow we'll take a look at some of these other tools inside the portal that you can look at and you can use, and how those can help you as you manage going forward, and you're predictive and preemptive, right, in the way that you're managing your environment. All right. Any questions about InfoSight and what it is?